Welcome to Frequency. I'm Jenny Field.
And I'm Chuck Gose. Frequency is your go-to for real talk about comms, culture, and employee experience beyond the buzzwords and straight to what matters. Jenny, this week we are going to be talking about how IBM is doing the opposite of whatever the other company is saying about AI and entry-level jobs. Also, that half of Americans have never used AI at work. Executive experience is a little different. Gartner is predicting chatbots will replace your internal comms channels by 2028. And Friday in the office has collapsed to 12% attendance, even at companies that mandated 5 days back. But before we get into those articles, Jenny, what do you have up for us?
So I was thinking about this. There's a couple of things. The first is my rage WhatsApping to you this week about the clickbait posts on LinkedIn that I find irritating and also feel a need to get involved in. So there's just something at the moment on LinkedIn about people either creating stuff using AI or whatever it is and trying to make things sound very, very simple when actually we're dealing with human beings and communication that is complex. It's not a simple structure. And there was a specific one this week where I think somebody had said that employees just want to hear 3 sentences from their CEO and nothing more. And it was just too much for me. And I had to comment on it. I had a good discussion with the author and other people involved, but I just would like people to do less of that. That feels like one of my freakouts really more than anything, but it was making me laugh because when I do this to you and I just go on WhatsApp, you rarely say anything back. You just move on to something else. Which
I'm just letting you finish.
Just let it go.
Yeah.
Just let it go. And then the other thing.
My clickbait issue on LinkedIn now is when people like their first sentence will be, I'm making this up, but it's probably has been said, my client said this, and so I did this, and this big dramatic thing, and then you click through and they're like, no, I actually didn't do that. And I'm like, oh, like that to me is the bait and switch. That's come on and tell the story. I get that there's a hook and you want people to click through and all that kind of stuff, but come on, we should be better than that. Maybe we're not better than that, but we should be better than that.
Yeah, that would annoy me. I'd have to unfollow those people. So what have you got for us this week?
First up, we have IBM planning to triple entry-level hiring because of AI. Everyone from Dario Model to Jim Farley has been warning that AI is going to gut entry-level hiring. But here's IBM saying, we're tripling it. Nicola Moreau, IBM CHRO, told a conference this week that the entry-level jobs from 2 or 3 years ago, AI can do most of those. But instead of cutting those roles, they rewrote the roles. Junior devs who used to spend 34 hours a week coding are now doing things like marketing, client work, and building new products. And here's the part that should get IC and HR leaders' attention. The argument isn't altruistic. It's skipping entry-level hiring now, she says, and in 3 to 5 years, you're having to poach mid-level people from competitors at a 30% premium who don't know your culture and cost more to get up to speed. An early study from 2023 found AI actually helps train junior employees faster and reduces turnover. Dropbox is doing something similar, expanding new grad programs by 25%. So some companies are betting that younger workers plus AI equals a better deal than experienced hires minus cultural fit. Jenny, my question to you is, was this initial reaction that AI is coming for our jobs now overstated?
So I don't think it's overstated. I think what I love about this is that we're reimagining junior roles. I think it's taking the very sort of one in, one out rule. Right, well, if AI is coming in, then this can go. Like, reimagine that. This comes back to what we did in the pandemic. We just lifted and shifted. We went, oh, let's lift up what we do in an office and let's put that at home without really thinking about the opportunities that came with that. And we've done this for decades. So for me, this is more about the fact that someone's actually looking at the workforce, looking at the skills that are needed, looking at the areas where there's that growth or there's that need for innovation, like the client work, the marketing, the relationship building. How do you take people that were doing job A and then help them and train them to now do job B? That is what we should be doing, rather than just kind of discarding the junior roles and saying, oh, we just don't need them anymore because we've got computers. That relationship building piece is always going to be there. And work is not just a task. So I think this is really important. I love hearing about the grad program at Dropbox at 25%. We have to find a way to bring AI and human beings together. And I think this is showing how to do that. I think what's also interesting here is the point you made right towards the end, which was around that there is more benefit in bringing together younger workers learning new things rather than hiring experienced people later on that don't have the culture fit. I think that's really important. And I know culture fit, sometimes people don't like that as a phrase. It's more about adding to the culture, but it's still that cultural piece, right? However you want to word that, it's the values, it's the culture, it's that relationship human bit that you want to make sure is right. If you get that right, then the skills and everything can kind of be built around that. So I don't know that it's overstated. I think there's just people here that are starting to take a more proactive approach to it rather than going, oh God, we're all doomed, the robots are coming, to how can we actually do this differently? How does our organization need to function differently now that we've got AI?
That's what I love about it. I love the leadership on this. It's so easy and routine and commonplace for companies to just copy what other companies are doing instead of pausing and saying, what's going to be best for our business? And clearly IBM has acknowledged they need to keep hiring entry-level people. So let's do it the right way. Let's not just do what everyone else is doing. Let's do it the right way. There used to be this saying, probably back in the 70s and 80s, where people said you never get fired for buying IBM because it was just like the gold standard. IBM kind of disappeared from the tech view from my standpoint. Like you don't hear about IBM anymore, but they're still there. They're still running a business and still wanting to grow it. And the point around which you highlighted, let's actually grow our employee base, not just go out and bring in external hires. That's where you start to identify what those, I know you said you don't like culture fits, but you start to truly build that culture instead of always having to hire and fire and replace and all that. I love the leadership.
Yeah. And I think, do you know what I think I love about it the most is it feels like it's that nurturing talent, right? And if we, both you and I are firmly on the square that leadership is about leading others, right? It's about influencing others so that they follow you, you come together, you achieve something together, but it's that service element of leadership that's important, that being there to grow the future talent, all of those things. This is all of that. And I think that really shines a light on maybe the broader culture that we see in the organizations like IBM, like Dropbox that are mentioned here in terms of that culture that they're building around their leadership. I think it's great.
Next up, Gallup. This is going to be no shock to anyone that frequent use of AI in the workplace continued to rise in Q4. No shockers there. The interesting data point, thanks for the yawn. Interesting data point.
That was a gasp.
Oh, I thought it was a yawn.
I'll do better gasp noises.
Okay.
There we go.
There you go. There you go. Anyway, 49% of US workers say they never use AI at work. Never. Not rarely. Never. Meanwhile, daily users crept up to 12% and frequent users hit 26%. Overall adoption has flattened. The growth is coming entirely from people who already use AI but are just using it more. The workplace is splitting into two groups. A quarter of employees who are compounding advantage every week, and half who haven't even started. The gaps are what you would expect, but maybe even a little bit bigger than what you'd think, though, with tech has 77% total AI use. Actually, I'm a little curious, like the 23% that aren't there. Retail was only 33%. The other big gap, 69% of leaders use AI, compared with 40% of individual contributors. Gallup says the top barrier to adoption isn't fear or resistance, it's that people can't see how AI applies to what they actually do. Jenni, is this gap ever going to close, or is it really just going to be like other tech? Some have it, some don't.
I think it might be a mixture, you know. When you said that a bit at the end that Gallup have shared that the issue is that people can't see how it applies to what they actually do. This is such a common thing in human behavior, right? If we haven't experienced something, we don't know what that experience is going to be, so we don't do it. Like, there's a part of us that goes, yeah, don't do that because either it's going to hurt you or harm you or you just don't know. If we've got no frame of reference, anything is hard. Even if I think about my niece doing her driving test, you know, like me, she failed her first one, but she passed the second one. And I think part of that is because then you know what to expect. So you're more comfortable, you're more prepared. You've got a frame of reference about what that's going to feel like. For me, this almost shines a light on probably what the root cause of the issue is. I mean, they've said it's the top barrier. If I can't imagine this, I can't see it. Like, you're going to have to help me see that. And I think that isn't happening enough. So I hear a lot of people in comms and in other places talking about how we can use AI to help us with personas, or how you can help it write some copy, or how you can help it analyze stuff, right? All of that is great. But there's a bigger piece for AI in the workplace. And I don't think people are in a position maybe yet to talk about examples of what's happened to then show people that roadmap of how it's possible, all those possibilities. I just don't think we're there yet. So I'm hopeful that we will get there. Those examples will come, people can see them, it will adopt. I think, like any tech, it's always going to be some have it, some don't. You know, there's huge parts of the world who are not digitally connected at all. And we don't talk about that at all. We kind of just, we think a lot about the world that we live in, but there are other parts of the world that just don't have that digital connection or that understanding or the access or any of those things. So I think it's a bit of both, I think.
No. You in a loving way mock me for my analogies, but I wanted to call out
another one.
That a couple episodes ago, I compared AI use to like needing a recipe book for some people, that they need to know the ingredients, need to know the steps. This is a further encouragement of that. They see the pantry shelf and they're like, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah.
And I think that's the training and the leadership on it of the teaching people how to benefit from this. And maybe it will help them, maybe it won't. But the fact that half haven't used it, or never, I should say, use AI at work, I don't think was a shock to me. Because you have to look at the variety of jobs that are out there. They're probably benefiting from AI without actually using it, which is fine. Yeah. Not everybody needs to use it, but if the business has it there for people to benefit from, all the better.
Yeah, I think that distinction is really important. You mentioned this, I think, in our last episode about are you benefiting from it or are you using it? I haven't really heard people talking about that. And I think that is an important distinction, because retail's 33% on here, right? Not a surprise, given their work is deskless, frontline, serving customers, doing those things. But are they benefiting from it in terms of the operation that's behind the scenes for them? Do you know what I mean? Like, are things slicker? Are things faster? Mm-hmm. And I think we're very focused on the use of AI. I'd love to see some reports on the benefits of AI that employees are getting. And I think that would be an interesting piece to have a look at.
Before we go on to our next story, I want to do a little call out to Gallup here, Jenny. We talk about Gallup. We've talked about Gallup a lot on some episodes, some of their research, always great content. I don't know if you saw or not, but they announced that they are no longer doing the presidential approval polls. Mm-hmm. And I thought, how convenient that they're now going to stop doing that when we have a U.S. president with record low approval ratings, who has pretty conveniently often to sue and threaten institutions. So they're probably just like, you know what? It's not worth it. Yeah. It's not worth doing this. But what a shame that we now, they've backed out, cowered out. I don't know what word you want to use. It's not worth the fight. I don't know why they did it. They had a very PR friendly answer for it.
They did.
But just what a disappointment. I think I now view Gallup a little bit lower than I did before.
I agree with you. I did see it, and I felt very sad because I thought even if this was a decision that was being made completely independently of the current president, if this was always in the plan that by 2026 we're going to stop this, it's so loaded now. Do you know what I mean? Like, it has so much more meaning that if that was in the plan, you need to push that plan. But it is a shame, and we do talk about Gallup a lot, and I love their work, but it has put a little blemish on that for me, for sure.
We've got Gartner's top communication predictions for 2026. By 2028, per Gartner, 75% of employees will rely on chatbots for internal communications. That's the big headline prediction. And if you take that at face value, it means the all-staff email, the town hall, and perhaps even the intranet banner have about 2 years left. It's pretty aggressive, especially when you just saw Gallup data showing that half the workforce hasn't even started using AI for anything yet. Comms teams start using employee digital footprints to personalize messaging, and data and analytics spending doubles from 2.9% to 6% of the comms budget, which still feels tiny when 47% of CCOs admit they can't even prove their function's impact. Gartner is saying comms teams should analyze how employees consume content, role, workflow, consumption patterns to deliver personalized messaging. My message to Gartner is the best companies are already doing this, Gartner. They're already personalizing messaging. So I don't know where that prediction comes from, Jenni, but I'm curious for you, any predictions that stood out to you?
So I really laughed when I read this, because I don't really know what's behind. In fairness, I haven't read enough to know what's behind the prediction, so I don't know where they've come from. But the 75% of employees will rely on chatbots for internal comms by 2028 made me laugh the most when I have conversations with clients about the fact that they've got 15 different SharePoint sites on 15 different servers because of mergers and acquisitions, and they can't let them talk to each other. And I talk to other people who are going, my HR information system can't plug into my intranet, so we can't make it so that people are getting personalized content. But sure, in 2 years, sod that, we'll have chatbots doing all the work. Brilliant. It just didn't feel grounded in the reality of the IT, comms, HR world that I think you and I know very well. So that made me laugh. The 75% of comms teams will use analysis of employee digital footprints to make personalised communications. Also laughed, because I, a bit like you, thought, well, we're already doing this, and if we're not doing this, we've been trying to do this for about 10 years. Like, and to your point, like, not just like the good people are doing it, the people that have got the data and the ability to do it are doing it. Everyone else who isn't doing it is trying to do it and has been doing for a long time. If AI can fix that, then great. But I'm holding on to these. And when we're still doing frequency in 2029 and 2028, we're going to talk about this. The bit that I did think was interesting was that for the second, it said in the predictions that for the second year in a row, misinformation and disinformation ranked as the top global risk over the next 2 years by the World Economic Forum. I thought that was worth pulling out here, just because that had sort of passed me by, in all fairness, in terms of that being the top global risk. And I think that is important for communication professionals in organisations to understand that and understand the difference between misinformation and disinformation and how you navigate that. And I know in previous episodes I've shared some reports from the UK government in terms of how to manage some of that. So I think there's a skills piece there for me in terms of these top comms predictions around what are the skills and what are the insights that people need to develop in order to manage those. So that those were the bits for me. There was a lot of chuckling over my cup of tea when I was reading it.
I want to look at this chatbot one from maybe a slightly different point of view. I'm wondering if, let's say it's that 75% of employees, like a chatbot will be made available to them. I could see maybe technology progressing where there is some sort of chat element into tools and platforms that will be made available. I think the rely on part is a bit of the scarier language. And here, is it relying on because it's so valuable, or is it relying on because there's nothing else there? So that's what you have to do. I think that's the one way to look at it. Another possibility too is there this layer, maybe chatbot's not the right word, but let's just keep using that actually does help connect all these disparate systems that cannot connect to each other, but can they connect upward into some system that sits on top?
Yeah, I'm with you on that. It was the rely on that I think was what made me scoff, because I just thought I feel so far away from that. I haven't done an intranet project I haven't worked inside an organization for a while now, but I haven't done an intranet project in terms of, creating it, developing it, installing it, whatever, for over 10 years. The problems I had over 10 years ago in an organization are still the same problems I see people having today. So I just can't see it happening that quickly, but maybe that's the AI piece. The other thing for me when I was reading this was the lack of humanness, right? So we talked about predictions, trends, all those things for this year. And that kind of rehumanization of the workplace comes up a lot this year in terms of looking at well-being and burnout and making things more human. Everything in here felt like it was almost the opposite of that. Like, if you're saying that 75% will rely on chatbots, and I know you went on to talk about like your town hall, your intranet, all of that stuff would go, that's not work. Like that, people go, like, work is about relationships and people and conversations, and if we're trying to make everything become this sort of task focused work, people will just hate it. There's no meaning behind it. It's not purposeful. I'm not getting any joy in this. You know, you've talked in previous episodes about coders not having the joy in their work now that it's all being automated by, like, let's not do this. Let's not predict a world where work becomes so task focused that it can just, you know, over 2/3 of it can just be done by computers. Let's remember it's about being human beings.
But I wonder if that's truly what some leaders want. That's how they're viewing employees, as simply,
yeah,
how did you do this job? Here are your tasks to complete. Go home. I don't care if you like it or not. I don't care if you're getting enjoyment. I don't care if you feel purpose. That's what some of the behavior is saying, even if that's what people do want. Not everyone, but some people do want out of their career.
Yeah. And it's those behaviors that I feel like it's my life's work to go help those leaders understand exactly what the behaviors need to be in order to get the best out of your people and do that. Like, we're all human beings. I could get on a real soapbox about it. And that makes me a bit sad that all these predictions are actually all linked. And maybe that was the intention, but there's we're human beings. Like, come on.
And our last article this week from Korn Ferry, it's Friday. Is anyone there? 12.4%. That's the share of in-office visits that happen on Fridays, according to Placer.ai data cited by Korn Ferry. Tuesdays, 24.3%, Wednesdays, 23.7%. Fridays are at half the attendance of midweek, and this is happening even at companies that issued 5-day return to office mandates. Korn Ferry's take is that it's an engagement problem. The people who do show up on Fridays report spending the day in video meetings anyway, which defeats the entire purpose of being there. Korn Ferry's Renee Whalen put it bluntly, managers are spending their time counting swipes rather than focusing on what people are actually doing. Some companies are giving up entirely and concentrating all their in-person programming on Tuesday through Thursday. But nobody in this article is making a compelling case for why Friday in office matters. If you can't articulate why being there on a specific day is valuable, simply don't be surprised when nobody shows up. Jenni, I want you to put your CEO hat on here. Pitch me on why I should go into the office on Friday or Monday, or honestly, any day.
So I am not going to pitch you, because whatever I say, you are going to disagree with. And that's fine. I'm going to put my CEO hat on and know that Chuck is not for turning, right? And that's fine. This article made me laugh because when I worked in London, there was none of this office mandate. Like, it just wasn't the language, right? Because I don't think any of it was until COVID. But I would always work from home on a Friday because it was about a 90-minute commute into London. I'd be in the office Monday to Thursday, not every week, but generally I would have a clear day on a Friday, so I'd be at home to get my work done. And I remember after a few months, it became a bit of a running joke that you wouldn't find Jenni in the office on a Friday. So then I had to start flipping it and coming in and having a different day at home just to offset that, to kind of make the point. But I do think that there needs to be a reason, but there also needs to be the output conversation. So there's a couple of things for me. I think Fridays have always been quiet. My question about this research is, did anyone even look at this data before the pandemic? Because I feel like if you did look at it before the pandemic, it probably was about 12.4%. Because people that were commuting had that flexibility to be able to be at home. So there's no comparison for this, which makes it hard to know whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. I think there is also something about being clear about why you need to be in the office, to your point, full stop. If we're saying, actually, we've got 6 days in the month where we want people to come in the office, what are you doing on those days in the office? Is the whole team in? Are you doing stuff together? That is important, right? We do need some human connection, and different personalities work very differently. Some personalities thrive being at home, others hate it, right? So having that flexibility is important so people have that. For me, it's not about the day of the week. It's about making sure that there's flexibility and that there is purpose when you're together.
I want to go back to Korn Ferry's take that is an engagement problem. It might be an engagement problem, but I don't think it's before you snicker, let me finish. It's not the problem on the employee side. I think this is a leadership engagement problem. they are not engaging with their employees. They're just setting these expectations without really understanding the employee purpose and we talk about the power of empathy in these cases, that if your leaders are engaging with you, you are more likely to invest more. I think that's the engagement problem. It's not, let's put it on the employees like I like doing. Let's put this on the leaders.
My wrinkly face when you started talking about the engagement problem was not at you. It was at the Corn Ferry's take is that it's an engagement problem. Because for me, I'm like, I don't know what that means. Like, that's not a root cause. Like, what's the root cause of that? Because where you work does not mean you're any more disengaged or engaged. That's just nonsense. And you did go on to talk about, like, it's the root cause. Like, it's either you haven't explained to me why I should be in the office. You know, what's the reason you need me in? And does it matter? Like, is the work being done? That's the ultimate thing. It's not an engagement problem at all. It's just a numbers problem that we've decided that 12.4% isn't okay. We have no reason to think 12.4% isn't okay. 12.4% could be completely normal, but we've decided that's not good.
Jenni, let's go to our freakouts. What is your freakout this week?
So my freak out this week is linked to Comms Reboot, which is my event, my unconference event that I run every other year in the UK. It's in London this year in October. We've already sold a third of tickets, which is very exciting. But I'm also very excited that last year we did Comms Reboot in Toronto with the team at Contact Monkey, and they've asked me to come back and do it again. So I'm quite excited, if not freaking out a little bit, about doing 2 Comms Reboots this year. So we'll be doing one in Toronto in June, and then there'll be the one in London in October. And I will pop a link in the show notes, which... This is a little sneak preview, so it might be a link to just my website, or it might just be our email address, because I might not have the webpage up and running. But if you want to come along and you're in Toronto or you want to be there in June, then just let me know and I'll send you the details, because this is a little sneak peek of what's to come.
Well, we are aligned with event-focused freakouts because for the last couple of weeks, I did a secret soft launch to Ecology members so that they could sign up first. But now registration is available for Flyover Festival, the Employee Comms and Culture Flyover Festival that we do every year in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. People know, why are you doing it in Sioux Falls, South Dakota? My answer is always, why not? It is a lovely city. We have a great time when we're there. 45 people fill the room. Tickets have already been sold for it. Just a great community-driven experience for anyone who wants to join us. That is August 27th, day long in Sioux Falls. Join us there. We'll also put a link to that page in the show notes.
I was actually talking to another Ecology member earlier on in the week, and I didn't know that you had announced it because I'd missed it in Ecology, for which I apologise. But they, one of the first things they said was like, "Oh, I'm just planning my trip to be able to go to Flyover. Like, I'm really excited to go," and so, which is lovely. I've always hear brilliant things about it, so I'm excited for you.
Well, we talk about it like it's the family reunion that you actually want to go to.
Yeah.
That you're reconnecting with people in person. That might be the only time you see that person that whole year, but you're excited to be there. It's
just community, isn't it? I think that's how I feel about Comms Reboot is, doing it in Toronto again, it will be really exciting because I feel like I'll get to see people again that I met last time. But certainly the London one, it's I know the people that are buying the tickets and I see, they come every time we host it. And it's lovely. That community, I think for both of us, is why we do what we do.
Well, thank you for joining us this week. All the articles that have inspired this conversation are in the show notes. And don't forget to rate and review after you've listened. Subscribe so you don't miss another episode, and pass this on to someone you think would enjoy listening or watching. You can also find Frequency on YouTube. Thank you to my friend Poet Ali for contributing music to the show. We're back every Monday with more news, insights, and opinions about everything comms and leadership in workplaces today. Keep tuning in and turning up.